Toby, glass half full or half empty?
You know me, even though I look like it's always half empty, I try and be as half full as possible. I am disappointed for the boys because I thought that we gave a good account of ourselves on the whole against a very, very good team, and I think we probably, in our eyes, probably edged the contest. So I think we could have got a little bit more out of it. And but against the best, they fight. You've got to be clinical when you're down there. We probably were guilty of not being that, and it comes down to a few key moments. But what I will say is the effort and the character we showed to get back into the contest in what were very difficult conditions was very pleasing.
Do you think you might have been rewarded better for your efforts in the scrum?
No comment.
Were the players bemused by what was being decided there?
Yeah, again, look, we'll have a look at the action. No one, we are a little bemused about some of that, but we've got to, wherever we can, take that out of the equation. And from that point of view, we'll have discussions. We'll go through the right processes. We had a couple of opportunities to score, irrespective of how they do it. I thought we were certainly the dominant set piece for sure. And that's good because that's what we pride ourselves on. So, the greatest compliment they gave, they flew over, international props and front rowers and bits and pieces. So that bodes well.
And Stephen Myler, fly half, is probably the right man for the occasion, wasn't he?
Doesn't get any better. Obviously, I've just been asked on TV about that. My first signing, and some would argue my best because I know exactly what Steve Myler brings. He's been a bit disappointed himself, obviously not been available for a few injuries and bits and pieces. Consummate professional, plays professionally, a very reliable person to have as the quarterback out there, and as you say, in conditions like that, really, really important.
As far as some of the pack are concerned, Nicky Smith giving the Wales management and Jack Morgan a reminder of their capabilities in particular tonight?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, it was obviously a day for forwards and bits and pieces. I thought, Ethan Root's coming back into that, provided some go forward. Morgan Morris continues to play well. Jack Morgan, as you said, Adam and Jones, very influential from a set piece point of view, was great. And Nicky Smith has probably been one of our most consistent performers all year so far. So, we have a saying back home, but no scrum, no chance. And and Franny and those boys and the front row boys have delivered that. And Nicky's been central to that. So that's, I'm sure that Wales are having a look at him.
And in terms of personnel for next week now, it's a bit early, but any bumps or anyone coming back into consideration?
Well, we see where Gareth Anscombe and Justin Tipperick are. They're not too far away. It was good to get some boys back. Obviously, we went to Ulster with a massively depleted squad through international rest periods and bits and pieces. And the encouraging things it shows you, if we put the exciting youngsters around lots of good experience, that we can compete. And our overriding thoughts will probably be what could have been. And we can mix it if we've got the right people on the pitch.
And how important is that result to show that you can get a result against South African opposition, and maybe, although I know it's not your business, to be a bit of an example to the other Welsh regions as well?
Look, everyone's doing their best, right? But it's very, very difficult, and resources aren't just about numbers and money, it's about the depth of your squad and all those other bits and pieces. And everyone's, as I've said, been on record that we know that the South African boys are the market leaders, and we have to raise our standards however we can to try and match that. That's very difficult when if you haven't got depth, and I hope that we can continue to improve whoever we're playing against.
Toby, just on Alan Wynne, his tackles and things like that tonight, perhaps not going to make a highlight reel, but if he got in 15 arm wrestles, he probably won 14, and on a night like that, that's what you need. Yeah,
100%. Look at his maul defence. He's been very influential. He's come back with a spring in his step. He's got a bit between his teeth. He's very deliberate about what he's doing. He's led the team off the pitch in what he said. He obviously speaks very well. So it's not just the influence himself, and he leads by example from an effort point of view. As you say, in the nitty gritty, and Test match rugby, nights like tonight, big sides. It's the nitty gritty that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on Stephen, in Wales we like to get caught up in homegrown players and all the rest of it, but he's probably a very good example of going overseas, so to speak, over the river, and getting somebody with a lot of experience to add to the environment? Just talk around that.
I honestly think the way that the seasons are set up, I think you have to have high class foreign players in this. If the regions want to be competitive, you've got to have them, and because the availability, and it's not just the hidden cost around international windows, it's the camps that come before it, the rest periods that come after. There's a lot of hidden availability that people probably aren't aware about unless you see wholesale change like you saw for us against Ulster. So you need quality that's available for you. If you look at the Irish provinces, they've done it exceptionally well over the years, and that's what it takes to be competitive, throughout a campaign.
There's obviously a narrative that's developed over last season and this season about Welsh sides against South African sides. Tonight is a rare occasion where, as you've said, we probably saw a Welsh side get the upper hand there. Does that embolden you a little bit now to use this as a bit of a launch pad for the rest of the season?
I think we've performed well. Obviously, it's for you guys to write about that sort of stuff. We just concentrate on what we can control and what we do. I think that we've certainly made performance strides, certainly in our attacking game, and even though it doesn't seem to, we've always, had a decent set piece and, defensively and effort and whatever, and we're trying to develop the cherry on the top, as it were. But it takes time, and over the season, 2 seasons, it was about getting good foundations. But make no doubt about it, you can be a great coach if you haven't got raw materials to put into it or availability. Any coach will struggle, and the biggest challenge, irrespective of financial elements of it, is South Africa produce a lot of good players, a hell of a lot. I was just talking to John Dobson before the game, and he was talking about they have 14 of the best rugby playing schools in the Cape Town area. So from our point of view, that's what we're up against. So we've got to use our money really, really carefully, and we've got to understand what we're trying to compete against.
Just to add a bit of sort of context to that, how does that compare to what you've got?
Well, I don't know the exact number of schools.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not 14.
Yeah.
But no, we pride ourselves on growing our own. But you need, as I said, I think if you look at the 2 performances this week and last week, the effort was the same. The effort was unbelievable in both games. The scoreline much different. Yeah, conditions play different. And the one thing an Ospreys player, and we pride ourselves in is our consistency and effort, and we'll see where it takes us. So whether you're 16 or 60, that's part of what being an Osprey player is about, and we celebrate that. However, you still got to be effective, and part of that is the growth of players, both skill-wise, speed-wise, physically, all that. That takes time to grow players. So if you can't supplement physicality by either age, experience or foreign, then it becomes very difficult.
And just lastly, George went down quite early, looked like his knee again, but carried on, played the full game. Are we sighing with relief now?
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, so obviously, I think we came through that. I think Steve got a bump, Keelan got a cut eye, but I don't think we got too much to worry about. The physios are totally different.
You've worked with a lot of fly halves, you've seen a lot of fly halves, and are there many of them you'd have banked to put that over Head of Stephen in that rain next to the touchline?
Caravans come and put it up. But no, look, it's been deliberate. When I arrived here, Chicken was injured. We needed stability. We needed a person that's people look up to, that will lead it, and actually a selfless leader. We've got some talent. You need people that can put it. You look at the development of Jack Walsh is all around what can he take from Stephen Minor. You know he can play at the line. You've seen his skill set. You know he's exciting. But you have to manage the game, and that's part of the growth of players. That's almost a perfect micro example of what we've just been talking about. It's not just about physical. Dowie Lake learning from Scott Baldwin. There's a passing of the baton and of experience. It's not just about what the coach gives, it's what their peers give them. Those little micro conversations in the changing room. And the great thing about all of those guys, but Steve Minor in particular, he's very, very giving. He does a lot of work with Max Nagy. He does a lot of work. They're obviously both from Northampton, and George. That's the little Northampton league. But that's part of it. And part of being a selfless teammate is passing the baton on. And Steve will make a great coach for sure when he finishes, because I know he's interested in it because he's very giving.
Cheers, Toby.
All joking aside, do you think if a message comes from a player, it gets through a little bit it cuts a little bit deeper perhaps than a message from yourself sometimes, if you're getting it from a teammate.
Trying to say. No, it's a really good point. I think that it depends on the message and we're very conscious about develop the individual, develop the team. I think that part of the growth of the youngsters is being a streetwise team, being a smart team, and living outside the moment, add the bits to have together. And I think that out there experience is absolutely invaluable. And I hope players are saying behind my back, you don't worry about that, or mate, think about it like this. I'm not. This is not about me. This is not about Richard Fussell and Doug. This is about getting a player as far up the chain as we can get him, because everyone benefits from that. And I'm not egotistical to think I hope that I can help on that journey, and more importantly create the environment and the culture in order for that to happen. But I know that that's not unique, because a lot of people try and do that. But I also know that there's environments where there's a lot of tell from coaches that people go into their shells. There's a lot of people that even between coaching groups where coaches go, what are you talking to my player for? It's not about us, it's about the player.